Hey everybody, it's your girl Carly. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to talk about choosing you. I want you to know this, that self-love is not selfish. As much as we believe it is, and it is subconsciously embedded in us through society, through our friends, our family, just from growing up, we innately believe that self-love is selfish. But I want to just give you another opinion and let you know that self-love is not selfish. As we tend to a child, we ought to tend to ourselves. As you bathe a child, you ought to bathe yourself. And I know we bathe ourselves, but for some people, okay, we need to have this conversation. And I don't know who else is on the other side of the screen, so. But the point is, nourish yourself. Treat yourself as if you're tending to the inner child. Like with a baby, we do not neglect the baby, right? We feed the baby, we nourish the baby, we bathe the baby, we change the diaper, we put on the clothes, we put the lotion on. You know, we literally do everything for a baby, because if you neglect the baby, you have a very small window in which there's going to be no more baby. So it's almost like when choosing yourself, you have to look at it, or with self-love or self-care, you have to think of it as, okay, I am nourishing the inner child in me, and that's okay. It's okay to choose you. It's okay to say no. Listen, I wasn't even trying to go here, but no is a complete sentence. You do not have to explain yourself. No means no. It's just no. And it's not selfish. Sometimes we think that we have to explain ourselves after we say no, because it's like, I don't want them to think this, and this. And often I am called mean because I say no without an explanation. And I think that's okay. I'm okay with that. Anyways, just going left. So with choosing yourself, the reason why you want to choose yourself is, one, because you are teaching people how to treat you. I believe this with all of my heart. The relationship that you have with yourself is the example of how people are going to treat you. If you, again with the baby scenario, if you neglect yourself, as you would a child, if you neglect yourself and you don't have, you're not bathing yourself, your hygiene is not it's not taken care of, if your hair is never combed, and y'all know, like when y'all have babies, y'all, even though some of them don't have hair, but some women, they'll still put their little bow, the little bow rat right there in the middle. Whatever, I'm not a mom, but you get what I'm saying. Tend to yourself as if you were a child. But you have to keep your hygiene up together, right? So if you're not doing those things, then what are you communicating to a random person, or to your friends, or to anyone? If you allow people, and I feel like this is so important in the workplace, like when you have a manager or a supervisor over you who misunderstand what leadership is, who's not a servant leader, someone who abuses their authority and feel like in order for them to be effective, they have to be loud and belligerent. So for those people who belittle you because they have a status over you, sometimes it's almost like that self-love or that self-care goes out the window. Like, you will allow them to disrespect you. And it's happened to me. Like, my first job, I was working in a fast food restaurant. Bless anybody's soul who's in fast food. Okay? Because it's not for the weak, let me tell you. Okay? But I would let the managers disrespect me. I remember one time I was on a cash register, and I was fast with it. You know what I'm saying? I was fast with it. Anyways, so there's a drawer here, there's a drawer there. I'm on this drawer. I didn't know this was my first job. Like, I didn't know. I didn't know that I was only supposed to be on this drawer because I saw my manager, my shift manager, alternate between the two. Which I later found out that she was not supposed to do that. Because say for instance, I end up out of balance. She could, of course, and she would. She's going to blame that on me. Oh, you messed up. But in all actuality, we were sharing this drawer, so we cannot track whether it was me or you. We don't know. And of course, it would have been on me because she's over me. She's not going to get herself in trouble. But I remember the machine was acting up or something. And I was like, well, I need to get this line moving because the line was wrapping around, right? So I'm like, okay, well, let me just hurry up and get these people paid for. So I'm doing this on this machine. I'm trying to work this machine. Like, I was doing it too. But then she saw that I was on the other one. And instead of telling me like, hey, Carlisha, you're only supposed to use this machine. Go ahead and finish this transaction, but don't use it again. No. She's one of those people who cannot communicate effectively and one of those people who abused her power and her authority. She shouldn't have been a manager. Honestly, she didn't have any self-control. I'm just being 100 with y'all. Okay? Just being honest. So she comes up, and I know it's going to be something because I saw it on her face. And she yelled at me and was like, get out the drawer. No, you're not supposed to be on the drawer. Get over there. And it took, listen, y'all. It took everything in me to not let her have it. And eventually, I did end up letting her have it. And she sent me home. I think this was a different day. She ended up sending me home, which was fine. But guess what? She never did it again. So sometimes, like, you have to stand up to anyone. This goes for your parents, too. Because your parents, I don't know why they be trying to flex, y'all. But they feel like, I'm your parent, I can talk to you how I want to. And the thing is, no, I love myself. This is my baseline for how I want to be treated. I don't yell at myself. I don't do negative self-talk. Well, I try not to do. I don't down myself. So I'm not going to allow anyone else to treat me like that. So that is setting the standard of how you want to be treated. Another reason why you want to choose you is because it strengthens your voice. So when someone wants you to do something for them, but it goes against you choosing you, and you say no, it's okay. It strengthens your voice, and it lets you know that your voice is more important. And not only that, but your opinion of yourself is more important. And then not only that, but the peace that you have with this decision, the peace that you have with saying no, or whatever the consequences are, it's okay. You've made peace with it. So it lets people know that you are the priority. Your voice is strengthened. And so think about it. If someone asks you to do something that goes against you not choosing you, and you say yes, and both of them know, you know, and they know that this is a very big inconvenience for you, what are you communicating to them? It goes back to setting the standard for how people treat you. But then not only that, what are you communicating to yourself? That is the number one thing that you want to pay attention to. What are you communicating to yourself? And so when you do that, you are weakening your voice because you care more about what other people think about you versus how you feel about the situation and how you feel, almost how you feel about yourself, honestly. But when you stand up for yourself, when you choose you, it strengthens your voice. So another thing, and this is kind of implied, but it gives you a voice. It gives you a voice. It lets people know she cannot be bullied. She's not a pushover. She's not going to let you run over her. She's not going to do that. And I think of it like, I remember when I was in the 3rd grade. This is a really sad story. But I was in the 3rd grade, and it was this guy. His name was Deshaun Scott. When I first got there, Deshaun was, he was already getting bullied. And I joined in, but eventually I stopped. To make a long story short, he killed himself on Thanksgiving Day I want to say this was 2004. He killed himself. We were all kids. And I just think, like, you don't want your voice to be stripped from you. I think that's one of the most important things you can have is a voice. It lets people know that you stand for something. It lets yourself know that you stand for something. And when you stand for something, you have confidence, you have purpose, and it increases your self-worth and your value. It increases your self-esteem. So having a voice is very important. And I would say this, as someone who was sexually abused, that is something that I'm not going to give up again. I'm not going to mute my voice and mute how I feel for the safety or the protection of someone else, or even just because they are inconvenienced or uncomfortable. As long as I'm not harming no one physically, then I feel like it's okay, right? But it is very important for you to have a voice. Now I want to go into, I'm looking at my notes. Now I want to go into how you can choose you. So, you have to change your mindset. You have to start thinking like you are the priority. So, yes. So in doing this, you need to feel like you are the priority. And then not only that, once you feel like you are the priority, you will start making time. This is like, yeah, this is so personal for me, because in this means that I have a responsibility to make sure that I am mentally sane. So what does that mean? It means that I am always in a peaceful space, which means that I need to meditate, right? Or pray, or read the Bible, or worship, or listen to worship music, or I like to listen to classical or water music. Whatever it takes for you to get in a clear space, that's what you need to do. So the number one reason is you need to change your mindset and make yourself a priority by making your mental health a priority. I think that is so important, and we don't talk about these things. And I think especially in a Black community, we don't talk about mental health. You wonder why every time you look up your cousin or your friend is always drinking or always smoking or popping pills. I personally believe it's not that they are an addict. I think they become an addict, but they have a very unhealthy way of coping with things. They have a very unhealthy way of getting to a place of peace. They don't know how to get to a place of peace. So it's important that you choose yourself first and make time for your mental health. Whether you need to listen to affirmations and meditate on that. The Bible says to meditate on the word day and night. But I think it applies to all things. Like, you meditate on the word, good. But are you also meditating on your goals? Are you also meditating on what you want in life? The person that you want to be in life? Are you also meditating on positive affirmations? Like, I am enough. I choose me first. First me, then you. Are you meditating on these things? And I think that's one of the first steps in choosing you. You need to make yourself a priority. You need to take on the mindset that self-love is not selfish. And I am my number one priority. I am my responsibility. And I want to say this as well. Even if you have a child, you are still responsible for making sure that you have mental sanity, because the child cannot help you. They probably gonna drive you crazy, which is probably why you need to meditate. But aside from that, even if you are a mother or a father, sometimes we tend to think, oh, let me take care of my child. But what if your child grows up with a parent who's mentally insane? What is that going to do for them? So for all of you who feel like, oh, let me tend to my child first, I want to challenge you or give you a suggestion to choose you first, and everything else will follow. Yes, your child still needs help, right? but can you take time out of your motherhood? I know this sounds so bad, but can you set aside 5 minutes for your mental sanity? Even like for those parents whose child follow them all around, can you like lock yourself in the bathroom or go in your car and or while your children are asleep? There are ways to make sure that you are mentally sane. So another thing that you need to do is to practice. Practice makes improvement. You are not going to do this over and or you may, I don't know. But it is important to practice, right? So, and I mentioned some of this. You can start a meditation routine. A morning routine, which will include your meditations, which will include your listening to music or listening to affirmations, meditations, and yoga. Listen, I don't know what it is about yoga, but I feel like when you do yoga, you have to listen to quiet music or, you know, you listen to very peaceful music, and innately it helps you. So create yourself a morning routine. Another thing that you can do is you can make yourself breakfast. And this is such a big deal for me because this just lets you know that this is the thing that I come up with. I think it's kind of funny. I say that, well, I try to have a morning before my morning. What does that mean? So what it means is that usually I would get up, get dressed, go to work, right? Come home, go to the gym, maybe work on my goals, and then, get ready for bed, do it all over. Go to sleep, do it all over. But when you have a morning before your morning, what you are communicating to yourself is, I know that I'm going to go to a job that's working on someone else's dream, but I'm also going to set aside time to work on my dream before I go to work. I'm also going to set aside time to work on my mental health before I go to work. So you are saying, first me, then you. That is the message. And so that's the reason why I believe you should have a morning routine. A morning before your morning is what I like to call it. Anyways, let's recap. So just starting from the top, the reasons why you want to choose you is so that you can give yourself a voice, so you can strengthen your voice, and also so you can teach others how to treat you. And how you can choose you is you want to take on the mindset that self-love is not selfish, and choosing you is okay. You want to take on the mindset that you are your number one priority, and you need to get an understanding that you have to choose you regardless of any circumstance. Another thing you want to do is you want to make a morning routine. You want to have a morning before your morning. This can include exercises, yoga, affirmations, meditations, anything, but just a morning before your morning. And it will communicate to you that first me, then you. That's the message that it would give out. And you may also want to make yourself breakfast in this morning routine. Anyways, thank you so much for tuning in with me today. You all make sure you share this. Someone needs to know that they need to choose them. It's a new year and it's time for you to choose you, boo. This year is about self-love. Okay? So let's choose you. Share this video, like, and subscribe. Thank you, and I will see you all in another video. Bye-bye.